Today we'll be talking with a creator that is doing an amazing job helping kids improve their speech through yoga and music. We'll be talking about how she comes up with ideas and how she targets her super specific niche. Let's go. All right, Jackie, happy to have you here. First, I have to congratulate you because you're doing a wonderful work.
Thank you.
And Jackie's a speech language pathologist. She's a very particular person because she's content-wise a super niche creator. So Jackie, please tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started creating content and how content has helped you with your work.
I created Namaste and Play, and Namaste and Play was born from a passion for working with children and also a passion for yoga. I did yoga for the first time when I was in college, and I quickly realized that it was more than just a workout, it was a work in, and it really helped me with my anxiety, with dealing with my emotions, with my stress, and at the same time I was studying to be a speech language pathologist, and I was working with children with special needs, specifically autism. And I remember thinking how amazing it would be if children were taught these tools at a young age and how profound that could be for their future selves. And once I graduated from grad school and I became a speech pathologist, I also did my kids yoga teacher training and my adult yoga teacher training, and that's kind of what started this journey of Namaste and Play. And I started my Instagram page, and that was really where I was able to create a space to teach and educate parents, other educators, therapists like myself on tips and tools that they can use with their children, with themselves as well. I also quickly realized once I started implementing yoga with children, how powerful it was for their self-regulation, for attention, for developing language. So I saw what a powerful tool it could be, which is really what drove me to create this business and content.
How was that, the initial state where you say, okay, I love what I'm doing, but I need to go to socials?
It was very scary. There was one moment that I did not see myself being on social media, and I would look at other pages and I was like, that's not me. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I just have to just do it. Kind of like push through that fear and get over that initial hump of fear that you go through. And once I did, it was scary, but I definitely feel more comfortable with it now. I go through, ups and downs with it for sure. There's times where I make content and everything is very engaging and I'm doing a great job, and then there's times that it's not.
And nothing happens.
And nothing happens.
Flops.
Exactly. There's definitely up and downs to creating content.
And when you started, what was your first idea? How do I share this?
My first.
You just started doing video, or?
I did an introduction to the world. That was my first.
What do you do? And I'm here to help you guys.
Exactly. I kind of talked a little bit about, being a speech pathologist and how I want my audience to learn how to incorporate mindfulness and yoga and breathing exercises to their children, and also for teachers to be able to use it and in their schools, and for parents to be able to use it with their children as well.
Amazing. Your main client, let's say, are kids. No, your client, but the person you want to make an impact on are kids.
Exactly.
But you need to communicate to parents,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So how's that? How do you tell the story, or how do you communicate with parents to have the end user, let's say, kids?
Yes. So most of the content that I do create, or a lot of the content that I create, is to educate parents on what they can do in certain moments and what the benefits are of using yoga and movement and breathing for their children. And same thing with teachers, how they can, create a calmer classroom by using some of these tools. So I always create my content geared towards the adults. But I do have content for children. I took a kind of a step further in creating content, and I created music for children.
I love that. I saw it. I think it was an amazing idea.
You.
Amazing.
Thank you. And I created songs for kids to do yoga to, and there's an album. It's called Groove and Grow, Songs for Kids Yoga. And the album, it takes you through a 30-minute yoga flow for kids. So if you've ever done yoga, there's kind of a flow. You always start breathing and grounding, and then you go into your cat and cow, bows, and then your sun salutations, and then your balancing, and then ultimately you end up in Shavasana. So the album kind of takes you through that structure, and I created music videos for it, which I post on Instagram and also YouTube. And that is for children to be able to watch that and follow along, and for it to be, a productive screen time for them, where they're learning all of these skills, but they're in a fun and engaging way using music.
You started with Instagram?
I started with
Instagram is your main account.
My main account,
your main
yes.
channel.
Yeah.
You do also TikTok or?
So I do have TikTok, but TikTok has been a tricky platform for me to understand, and I haven't been able to really post a lot on TikTok. But I do have a lot of things on TikTok.
Great. So you started Instagram and then moved to YouTube, no?
Yes.
But YouTube is actually completely different.
It is.
As you've seen,
it is,
right?
Yes.
And YouTube is kids content. Because I've seen the videos and I can see kids being there, like seeing it once and again and again and again.
Exactly.
So how's that been for you, and the process of that type of creation?
So it was definitely there. I loved the creative process. I loved coming up with the ideas for the music videos and shooting the music videos and working with an editor and someone who was able to kind of bring it all to life, and even working with children that came and did the music videos with me. That whole process was fun. There was a lot of work though, and learning how to use YouTube was tough, and I'm still kind of learning how to understand how to monetize on YouTube, because there's, a lot of things that people don't tell you. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
And when you create for YouTube, because you have three things, no? You have the language part,
Yes.
the yoga part, and the music. Mm-hmm. So when you create this, what's your key thing that you focus? Like the message, the song. The song actually, I think for kids, it's not that big of a deal, like on music writing or scripting, but how do you start that process?
How do I start? Well, the message I really want to get behind, a lot of the songs, like the first song, for example, is all about grounding and breathing, and like how breathing makes us feel good. So that's like that message. And then I have a song called Yoga Guitar, and that song is all about confidence, and that you're a rock star and you're brave and you can get up on stage and you can play your yoga guitar. And so that goes into a lot of confidence. So every song has a bit of a theme and a message, a positive message for kids to listen to, hopefully over and over again, and that to kind of set positive programs into their minds.
Regarding how kids watch this, is it something that you send the parents or via newsletter or something? Hey, here's the video, and they are the ones that put them to the kids, or is it the kids that find you somehow on YouTube?
So I think that it's mostly parents, because that's where I send it to. I send it to parents in the community. I've sent it to a bunch of teachers. Teachers always send me videos of their classrooms doing the videos, and it's always
they're all together, like,
and they're
hey,
all
kids.
Together doing it. And so many people message me like, thank you so much. My classroom was a disaster. It was chaos, and I put on your videos and everybody was super engaged and focused, and it calmed everyone down. So receiving messages like that is great. Also a lot when I teach, classes and I play my songs, and people will be like, is that your voice? But yeah, that's me. And then I share a lot of I'll share my information through all the classes that I do.
I think that it's a huge step, because speaking correctly is one thing, but singing, it's a completely, I don't see myself, like, how do I even start singing? Like, I really don't think I have that in me. I think everybody can learn it, but what's that process? Like, did you sing when you were a kid, and something that you always liked?
I was a singer when I was young. I was part of a choir when I was young and also into high school. And I have, I play the piano, so I have, a little bit of musical background, not so much. And honestly, one day I don't know, it's bringing that creativity with your passion together. And I was with a friend of mine, and I told her, I was like, I want to make songs for kids yoga. And then we just started one day just writing lyrics, and we were laughing. We thought it was hilarious, just like, we can do a yoga guitar, and you bring your leg in like you're playing a guitar. And it was just such a fun process. And really, if you know a few chords, you can kind of bring it together. Once you know some of these chord progressions.
The four famous chords.
Exactly.
Every song
the
in
entire
world.
album is basically four or five chords. So from there, we were just messing around, coming up with words, coming up with lyrics, and I found an amazing producer who was able to produce it and make it sound incredible, and was able to manifest that dream.
Oh wow! So you write the script of the song, and then you call this guy and like, how do we put flavor on it?
Exactly. Yeah. Then he added, like the drums and the bass line and the guitar. I just kind of gave it I just wrote the musical chord part and the lyrics, but I had a producer make it sound good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And having kids engaging, it's really difficult. Like it's way more difficult having a kid to stay 1 minute singing something than an adult.
Yeah.
Right? So what have you learned in the process of doing this content on how to, in a good way, have kids more engaged to the content?
Well, music is always engaging. So music is powerful and movement is powerful, and children really need movement. So when you put the two together, it really engages children. I also try to make things like, pauses in the song. So one of the songs will be like, we're moving, freeze, those types of things, going faster, going slower.
Making it more playful.
Exactly. When you make it more playful and then you add like those different types of rhythms, that really keeps children engaged. And
awesome. There's obviously an educational part in this. You think about the kids, but you also think on how to make it more educational for, let's say, teachers or therapists or parents. How's that process, or you only focus on let's get the kids to have fun in the process and learn a little bit, and then the teachers will come or the therapist will come?
So I like to educate my audience. So when I came out with the album, each song had, I talked about the meaning of each song, and I talked about an educational piece of, why is breathing so important for these kids? Why is positive affirmations important? So I do like to take it a step further in educating, teachers, parents, therapists on, why I do what I do. Because some people can see me teaching a class and they don't realize that, oh, this looks just really fun and engaging for the kids, but I'm really working on language skills. I'm working on executive functioning skills. I'm working on breathing, respiration, on top of strength and flexibility, and all of that stuff really helps with emotional regulation, self-regulation, focus, attention. So there's so much that goes into it, and I feel like parents and educators, they need to understand the importance of what I'm doing instead of like, oh, it's just fun. It's more than fun. They're getting so many benefits out of it.
Yeah, I was watching them and I saw that you're doing that it was amazing.
Thank you.
So congrats on that. So now let's talk a little bit about short form. You're super natural. Of course, you're in the niche of the niche. Mm-hmm. But how is the ideation process when you're, okay, we need to do some content? How's that for you? Like you write a lot of ideas and then see what happens, or?
So a lot of ideas come from working with children. So like in the moment, if, there's like a particular challenge that happens and I use like one of my tools to help the kids, I'll share that on social media and try to make a reel to kind of help them. A lot of times,
like your focus group, the kids.
Yes,
right?
they are. I learned so much from children. They really do teach me a lot, and they really help me in creating my classes. I get so many ideas from them that teaching is almost like a co-creation. I have ideas of what I want to do, but I also, let them kind of create the class as well. I also use trending audios a lot. So I'll look to see what's trending and I'll try to see how I can use that trending audio and see how see how I could educate my audience. Or a lot of times I like to do inspirational type of content or funny content. So whenever I do something funny, I feel like people love that. If I've made fun of parents for being dysregulated, or when a parent tries to meditate and then like someone like throws a stuffed animal to their face, like little things like that to make it funny and engaging for parents to understand that I understand that it's not easy. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So on your everyday life or schedule of things, you have like, okay, I have half an hour and an hour a day that I have to always create content. Is this something really planned, or it just flows?
So I go through phases. Okay. Sometimes I'm like, okay, Friday, I'm gonna, I work from home on Fridays. So I'll say, okay, from 9 to 12, I'm gonna really focus on, creating these reels. I write the ideas, I put how I wanna record it, and I do that. Sometimes during the week, I get these ideas at work and I have a moment and I'll just, create something quick. So it kind of depends on the week and the day. Sometimes things flow, sometimes it's harder and it doesn't flow. And sometimes I get stuck too,
Or burn out.
Or sometimes I get burned out as well, yeah.
How do kids or parents, when they come to you, like you have a place, a studio where they come or they sign up, how's that process of getting people to join your program?
So a lot of my yoga programs are at the therapy center that I work at, that I do speech therapy at as well. So I'm able to host classes there. I also have a lot of private sessions. So people who reach out to me and I go to their houses weekly. Sometimes maybe it'll just be like a pop-up, private. I also go to different yoga studios. I go to a studio called Flow State Studios. I've also done different classes and, I've done collaborations with other yoga studios where I'll do classes at their studio or I'll do an event. Sometimes people want to just do a class at a park and they'll reach out to me and we'll do a class at a park. I've gone to schools and I've done classes at schools as well. So it's kind of a varied location type of business.
Amazing. Let's talk a little bit about monetization because we all do things for an end goal of we love what we do, but we also have to bring money.
Of course.
How much percentage would you say that people come to you through socials or word of mouth or how's that those channels?
I would say about 50%.
50% comes from social.
And I realized this because, this is a bit of a personal story, but the last 5 months have been a little bit tough for me because my father passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Sorry to hear it.
So I haven't been posting. I haven't been creating as much content as I was before. I'm kind of like now getting back into it, been on my healing journey. And from, I didn't post. I was posting every week, at least 3 posts plus stories almost every day. And my, people were reaching out to me. I was getting a bunch of business. And then I kind of went silent for a bit.
Normal.
Exactly. And so I realized that I went silent for a bit. And yeah, I still have people reaching out to me and I'm still teaching classes and I'm still busy, but I've noticed that because I haven't been posting a lot, there's certain classes that I had where I would have like 20 kids where I'm only having like 1 sign up. And I'm like, man, that really shows that how impactful the social media aspect is.
Wow, yeah.
A lot of it, like I said, half of it is word of mouth and people that I've been working with a lot, but then the other half I do feel is that social media aspect.
Wow. From all this content, how do you drive them there? I saw that you have a really cool website.
Thank you.
But they see the content, you tell them, hey, go to my bio, or is that something organically that they just like the content and they start stalking you? How do you find it?
I feel like I do it in both ways. A lot of times if it's to sign up for a class, I take them to my website, or like what you said, I just kind of post something and then, people will kind of explore my website and go from there.
I didn't saw that much on Reels. I think you do that on stories, no? You do cool content to bring people on Reels, and then like, hey, I have this special class that's on stories, right?
Yes, yeah, I do more of that, yeah.
Besides getting people to your classes, as you work with kids, have you also done like brand partnerships or some kind of deals with companies that bring something to kids?
I haven't really, I can't think of like a big brand, like I collaborate with, like a yoga studio.
Or with the studios.
Or, where I work at a children's center. So I do those types of collaborations. I am collaborating with another yoga teacher. She lives in Colorado. We're going to be doing a book together. So I do collaborations like that, but not necessarily like in a big children's brand, at least not for now. Maybe one day, I hope.
We were talking before camera. Tell me a little bit about, besides this, are you thinking of something new, like a physical product, or
yes,
is there something coming up? Or
definitely, I created a children's book with a friend of mine who illustrated it, and it's going to be an interactive breathing journey for children. So we already have the book kind of ready to go. We're just in the publishing process and all of that. So I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but that's something that I would definitely utilize social media and to really promote it and get it out there so that people know about it.
Hey guys, just a quick break. If you want to learn what works and what doesn't in your content, you can test your videos and get real feedback from other creators on Growith. Growith. Download the app today and start improving. The link is in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. There's a thing that I wanted to ask you about feedback, right? Because when you're starting, how do you manage, like you create content and then you put it out and wait for the will of God, like, hey, I hope this works? Or do you run it through other teachers or friends or?
I would say I do a mix of both. Sometimes I just put it out there and hope for the best. And sometimes I think that it's gonna be the best, content ever, and then it's not. And then sometimes I'll put something thinking like, whatever, I just, I wanted to post something, so I posted it, and then it gets, a lot of engagement. I do talk to some friends, I'll show friends and say, what do you think about this content? But I probably should get more feedback for my content to kind of help me out. I do check to see like what people like and what people are engaging with, and I will try to drive my ideas through what people, seem to like the most. But in terms of feedback, if it's mostly just my friends, is what I ask. Yeah.
Right. And how do you measure if something really worked? Because not all the times if you have a lot of engagement, it actually converts, and sometimes the things that don't have that much engagement actually do convert.
Yes.
But how do you measure success
So
content-wise?
I usually measure it by likes, which I know nowadays likes are not really
the best measure.
Yes. Or if I get followers from a post, which I know now, it's funny because everything in social media changes, so you kind of have to keep up. So when I first started, it was all about the likes and the follows. Now I'm learning that it's not necessarily about the likes and the follows, but the people that are actually interacting with your posts and how long they're, are they watching the entire video or are they just scrolling through? So, when I go through that, like Instagram, how they kind of give you your stats, I'll kind of see like, the interaction. They tell you like who's interacting, and that'll kind of help me, guide me on what people are interested in.
We always say that the first thing is when you create something, you gotta think for yourself, like, will I share this? If the answer is a hard no, like don't post it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nowadays it's getting more about the sharing, how many people share it or how many people save it. But it's more the most important one is how much people share it. Regarding the future of Namaste and Play, where do you see it in a couple of years?
So I would love Namaste and Play to be able to offer different resources for parents and educators, different products that they can use in terms of like a book that they can read to their children. Courses is something that I've really wanted to do in the future, is create courses, create more music, create more videos for children as well. I'd love to do more of that and, continue teaching my classes and working with my private clients. But I would like to see a wider reach and, being able to provide more like digital products or merchandise is something that I'm working on right now, is creating like t-shirts, maybe some hats or things like that. So I want to expand.
Amazing. I think something that we've talked in previous interviews is like focus on your digital community.
Yes.
Because
exactly, the audience. I want to be able to, reach a wider audience.
Because there's many softwares out there, like School perhaps, where you can gather all the people in and hey, I have this new product. It's really easy to sell it that way. Or ConvertKit, like if you create a newsletter, you just start creating a bigger community, then everything is gonna be easier to sell or to scale. So right now you're doing everything on your own.
Pretty much, yes.
But it would be, you've seen how content takes a huge part of your life.
It does. And actually, right before my father got diagnosed, I had a social media content creator that I finally was at a point that I was like, okay, I can hire someone. And I hired her for about 2 months, and it was great because she was making all my content for me. But then when everything happened, I was like, you know what, let me take a moment, because I wasn't even posting at the time. So I do want to get back to, hiring someone to kind of help me with creating content, so that, because it's a lot of work and it is time consuming, but I do mostly everything on my own, pretty much.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it's the first time I've heard somebody like your profile. But now that you're inside all to the fullest of this, is there more people like you? Is it a big community of creators doing the same, or are you the one leading the road?
So I would say it's a small community. There are some people that do, they have yoga, music, and videos on YouTube that are probably leading it. They have like a lot more success, and they have like millions of followers on YouTube. But it's definitely a very small community, and we do have this like kids yoga kids yoga mastermind group that comes together, and those leading women who, are the ones that have, millions of followers and are very successful are in these meetings. So it's like, we're a small community.
Right, but maybe it's a thing that people don't know much about it, but if you get to communicate that better or to a wider audience, maybe they're gonna be a bigger audience for you, or maybe a bigger client base.
I think so. I feel like kids yoga is just kind of starting to become, a topic for people, but still it can be tough because a lot of people, want to do soccer and ballet, and they're doing a lot of other things that, it's more of the norm, and kids yoga is not really the norm, but I feel like with time it's going to start becoming more of a thing.
Now that you're doing content for kids, is there something that you would recommend other creators, like, hey, when you're doing content for kids, I would advise to do?
Content for kids. Well, first off, in general, you got to get past the fear. For sure, because it can be scary. Just being on camera is scary, and putting yourself out there is scary. But content for kids can also be scary because you kind of have to be a character. And you're like this certain, like, I'm Miss Jackie, you know? Yes, that's what they call me, Miss Jackie.
You have multiple personalities.
Yes, exactly. So, I can be a confident, a professional where I'm talking about education and I'm teaching, but then I'm also Miss Jackie, which is, it's a different character. So you kind of have to put this character on, which for some people can be scary, but you just have to kind of go in confidently and just, always when you're making content for kids, you always want to make it positive and beneficial. I do know that YouTube doesn't make as much money in kids content. They make a very small percentage because you can't put ads.
Yeah.
You can't put targeted ads for kids. So I didn't know that until later on, and I was like, oh man, well that stinks. Nobody tells you that sometimes it's tough with the kids content because it can be harder to monetize on platforms like YouTube than
you should do it like outside the platform with other brands or with other products.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you can do a video more of educating, adults where it's not for kids, and that would actually, you could probably monetize better. So that's something that people don't know about.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of starting kids content for kids,
yes,
have that in mind.
Yep, definitely.
Because with that in mind, like, you could have 1 million views, but there's no ads for kids. So
exactly. So you're not, it's hard to monetize, or what you get is not what an adult content creator would get. So
great, Jackie. So to wrap things up, one really tricky question.
Okay.
What would you recommend to the Jackie before starting social media? Like, what's your biggest advice to yourself or a creator in your position who's starting or wants to start?
My biggest advice is don't let the lows, because there's highs and lows in this whole journey of creating content. Don't let it define your worth. If you feel like you're not getting the engagement that you want, don't let that define your worth. That you are just continue to keep going, keep growing, keep, going with the flow, and just trust that things are going to work out. And having that, positive mindset that what you're doing is powerful, and that this is a beautiful message and it's going to help so many people, and you just really stick to your vision and your mission, and you don't let the hard times bring you down so much that you want to give up. You just keep going. So I would probably tell myself, keep going. You got this, girl.
Amazing. Jackie, once again, congratulations. You're doing an amazing job. Really amazing job. And guys, follow Jackie. We're going to leave all her socials in the description, and see you around.
Thank you.